All right, hello everyone. Welcome back to the next video for our section where we're going to be computing and interpreting the results of a confidence interval for the population mean when we know that what the population standard deviation is. And when we're computing the confidence interval for a population mean in general, we're basically looking at how much error our sample mean has. We don't know if our sample mean is overestimated or underestimated, so we can intuitively think that both of these possibilities are true. And we can't really be biased and say that, okay, I think we overestimated more, or I think we underestimated more. Because again, we're good statisticians and we do wonderful random samples, so we don't know at any time if we're overestimating or underestimating. So we consider both of those equally. Because of this, we derive this equation that our population mean is somewhere in between our sample mean boundaries that's less than our margin of error or greater than our margin of error. So it's going to be somewhere in between that boundary, okay? And that's this equation here that's bolded, okay? So we talked about this margin of error, and we've been talking about how it doesn't really make sense because we're talking about how we, in the first video, how the margin of error was defined as the difference between the population mean and the standard mean. But now we're going to derive this margin of error in a more practical way based off of our sample numbers, okay? So I'm not going to go through all the gruesome detail of all this derivation. If this is something that you would like to look into yourself, please do so. The actual derivation of this sample, of this margin of error, is outside of the scope of this course. So you'll only be responsible to use the equation that will be given to you for the margin of error in calculating it. But know that we're basically using the sample z-square equation that we learned before and the standard error sample deviation, the standard error equation. And we're combining those two together to get our margin of error. And basically after this little convoluted margin of error derivation, we come up with this bolded equation, which is the golden equation for us to learn for the margin of error, where we're taking the critical value and multiplying it by the population standard deviation and then dividing by the square root of the sample size, okay? So in the next video, we'll go through an example where we use the margin of error.